Today, the World Anti-Doping Agency's Executive Committee unanimously endorsed the recommendation made by our Independent Compliance Review Committee that the Russian Anti-Doping Agency be declared non-compliant with the World Anti-Doping Code for a period of 4 years. The CRC recommendation, which was derived from the reports of WADA's intelligence and investigations and external forensic experts, concluded that the Moscow data was intentionally altered prior to and while it was being forensically copied by WADA in January 2018. Therefore, the RUSADA reinstatement conditions, which were agreed by the WADA Executive Committee in September 2018, were not fulfilled, in that the Moscow data was neither complete nor authentic. Along with the recommendation, the Executive Committee endorsed a series of strong consequences and conditions of reinstatement in accordance with WADA's International Standard for Code Compliance by Signatories, the ISCCS, which took effect in April 2018. The consequences include the banning of Russia from the Olympics, Paralympics and World Championships run by all code signatories for 4 years, and the banning of Russia hosting any of these major events within that time frame. This is a ban against Russia that protects the rights of Russian athletes by allowing re-entry for major events to those that are able to demonstrate that they are not implicated in any way by the non-compliance. The decision is designed to punish the guilty parties and send a message that it will not be tolerated. It stands strong against those who cheated the system while protecting those who did not. For too long, Russian doping has detracted from clean sport. The blatant breach by the Russian authorities of RUSADA's reinstatement conditions, approved by the Executive Committee in September 2018, demanded a robust response. Russia was afforded every opportunity to get its house in order and to rejoin the global anti-doping community for the good of its athletes and for the integrity of sport, but it chose instead a different route. WADA will now send a formal notice to RUSADA asserting non-compliance with the requirement to provide an authentic copy of the Moscow data and proposing the consequences to come into effect on the date on which the decision that RUSADA is non-compliant becomes final and to remain in effect until the 4th anniversary of that date. RUSADA has 21 days to accept this decision, or else it will appear before the Court of Arbitration for Sport, at which point WADA will have to justify this assertion of non-compliance.
Thank you for the question, David. The answer to your question is yes. We do know who those athletes are, the 145 and any further athletes, and therefore they will be kept out of the games if they're still competing. Remember that the LIMS data relates to testing done in 2012 to 2015. So it may or may not be that they're still competing, but if they are, then that will be a block to them using the mechanism provided for to participate in the games. As to whether or not their names will be made public moving forward, that will depend. It's not something we've specifically focused on. It will depend on due process. It will depend upon whether or not further evidence can be obtained and proceedings can be brought against them. On the first point, you can be sure that they will not participate in the events. On the second point, I think we'll have to watch and wait on that one.
In 2018, before Pyeongchang, we had the Schmidt report and all of that, and very strong sanctions. It was a day like today, and Russia were banned from the Olympics. And then we were all at the Olympics, and it was Russia in all but name. the Olympic team from Russia, or whatever they were called. There were hundreds of Russian athletes there. What are we going to see here? We're going to see, you said they're banned from international sports, Olympics and World Championships. Are we going to see the football team formerly known as Russia at the World Cup? Are we going to see the formerly known Russian team in hockey? The teeth of this ban, what does that actually mean? Or is it just something we're going to write today and then we're going to see hundreds of athletes? Thanks.
Jonathan, do you want to take that one?
Thank you. It's a fair question. First of all, let's be clear about the totality of the package. This is a 4-year package. It relates to a number of different things. I'll come to participation events in a moment, but hosting of events for 4 years, plus bidding for events in the next 4 years, which means there won't be events in Russia for longer than 4 years. In terms of participation, the standard is clear. There will be no flag at the events that are covered. We could talk about the events that are covered. Goes down to World Championships in each sport. There will not be a Russian flag, and the athletes will not be participating as representatives of Russia. The details from sport to sport will have to differ, because some are team sports, some are individual sports. There are going to have to be a case-by-case basis. Nevertheless, what is important to note is that the standard says that it is under the control and or the approval of WADA to ensure appropriate and standardised enforcement. That may, if there is a CAS case, be taken then to CAS, so it can see what is proposed and endorse it itself. So, can we be definitive now as to in every case what it will mean? No, but the standard is clear. They will not be there as representatives of Russia. What that means in every case will need to be developed and will need to be subject of guidelines that the CAS will have to look at, and or the WADA Exco. If we don't go to CAS, the WADA Exco will have to look at.